I've got one that can see.
Logic before authority.
Hi guys, this is Daniel Alexander Cannon here on Logic Before Authority and also the Supernatural Show. I want to do a decode for you right now of a scene in DECODE. What I've decided to do is to do all the scenes individually and then put them together in a larger overall decode. So as you can see, we're looking at one of the scenes out of DECODE right here, right now. And I've known for a while what this symbolizes, the untying of the bow and all the other symbolism. And I'm going to go through everything here with you and describe to you what you're looking at. Okay. But first, let's back this up and let's let it play forward. Okay. One thing you have to keep in mind is also the transitions, the scene that leads into the scene, and even sometimes the scene that leads out of the scene. Sometimes they're not identically directly connected, but sometimes they are. Now this is a scene, we'll just call it, because I'm not decoding this exact scene, we'll just call this as the death of a child or the mourning of loss of innocence and all this kind of thing, right? So let's play this on forward. I'm going to mute the music. Scarab beetle. Okay, so here we have the scene, right? And I think the best way to do this is to show you what this is and then go through it piece by piece and let you see it. Okay, so let me pull up Eastward with the biblical verses in it, and we're going to look at Revelations 6:4. Okay, it says, "And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword." Now understand, what we're looking at here is a symbolic representation of that. Now, is there enough here in order to say that this was a symbolic representation of that? Now, I also realize that I have talked to you about the red horse and how it ties to SpaceX and Starlink and so on. We're not as much focused on that actual play out of it, exactly what we're looking at as the symbolic interpretation of it. Okay. Now, in this scene, and what we have here, we have a male figure on the left that is headless, which means it's like, could be anyone or a group of people, anything like that. And if we look at the male figure, you should be able to see on his chest there is either an upside down cross right here, or an image of a sword, or both. On his left arm, you will see that there is an image of a skull and bones, which means pirates, which means people that rape, pillage, steal, take others into slavery, all these kinds of things. Okay, and you'll notice that the figure on the left has a pair of jockeys on. That's all he has on, is a pair of jockey underwear. Okay, and on the left of the male figure here, you will see that there is a saddle horn, the image of a saddle horn right here. Okay, you see the saddle horn. All right, now let's look at let's mention this, that he is reaching over to pull on a pink bow. He is going to pull on this pink bow and untie it. removing or unleashing something. Okay. Now let's look at the character on the right here. It's obviously depicted as a childlike or innocence, a level of innocence. Yet this innocence and childlike has been through a lot. You can see by like the tribal scarring on the arm and the painting on the face, and it's symbolism of even this innocent person. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a child, and it doesn't mean it's one person. It can mean a whole bunch of people. Okay, just like the character on the left could represent a whole bunch of people. Now this character on the right, we'll call it the feminine, the female, or we'll just call it the feminine character, has what looks like an AK type weapon in her hand. And you'll notice at the very bottom of the screen down here that her finger is on the trigger. It hasn't been pulled yet, but it's on the trigger. One of the things about guns and gun safety and things like that is you never have your finger on the trigger. It's always somehow positioned where your finger's straight and not in a way that it can slip and pull the trigger. Just a small note there. Now, you notice also that her eyes are red. Okay. You also notice that her hair and her overall color has a reddish tone to it, certainly brownish, reddish tone to it. But her hair looks like very similar, you could say looks like flames or maybe even frequency. Okay. And you will notice that she has something on her right forehead up here. We're going to see what that is here in a second, but I'll go ahead and tell you that it is something that looks like a Band-Aid with a heart on it that has what looks like a crown, which you'll see, it's a crown image sticking out of it. So we have two things here. We have a horse and we have a rider. Okay. So you have a lot of the symbolism to all of that here. We can mention a few other things like the pearls around the neck, and the eyes, they will start to blink and they will turn to black. Okay. Let's watch just a little bit more into the scene here, and then we'll go through it piece by piece and break it down. Okay. Also, you will notice in the background, behind both characters, of course, is fractured ice. Fractured ice. Okay, fractured ice obviously could be related to a fractured reality, a even fractured psychological being, that kind of thing. And it certainly would match up with the case in where this character is looking like this, the bow being untied and the eyes going black. Okay. The moment of the eyes going black is when, symbolically, it's when the soul has basically no longer there. Okay. There is no more fire, natural fire in the person anymore. Their eyes have gone black. They are now mindless and will do the bidding of the one that set this in motion. Okay. And you can now see with the Band-Aid looking thing on the forehead that there is a crown sticking out the top of the Band-Aid. Okay. Now let's take a look at the definition of a couple of words. We want to look at Revelation 6:4 still. Here's 6:4. And we want to look at red. What does red mean? Okay. Well, the way it's doing it here, it's kind of hard for you to see. but it means the color of fire or flames. Okay, you can look up G4450 in Strong's in the Greek concordance, and you'll see G4450. It represents. There may be another way I can do this. Let's see here. Let me look. Hang on just a sec. Here's another view where we've got the horse that was red, and you can see, if I can get the mouse to work. There we go. G4450. It says fire-like. That is specifically flame colored red. Okay. And so if we take that into the context of, is this character being put into the position of a mindless, soulless person, or people that are going out to kill each other? We have the crown on the head. We have the hair that looks like frequency or fire. And we had her red eyes ultimately turning to black, meaning that she is now, or they, or whoever the people it is representing, is now soulless. This all, of course, ties into my previous videos and discussions with y'all guys about this subject matter. Okay. Now, let's take a look a little further. Now, of course, we have the image over here of the male, which has the jockeys on, with a saddle horn beside him on the ice, symbolizing that this is the person or the entity that is doing the controlling or the releasing. The saddle horn itself is a way not to control a horse as into which direction it goes, but it is a way to maintain your dominance and stay on the back of the horse and control it by staying on its back. Because once on a horse's back for long enough, even though you haven't trained it to follow directions, once you're on a horse's back long enough, the horses will submit, and the horse is considered broken, and then training actually starts. Okay, so the saddle horn is a control piece of control symbolism that also, of course, ties this into this jockey, as well as pirate, skull and bones kind of thing, as well as, again, someone who would take others as slaves and use them to do their deeds for them. Okay. And then, of course, we have the subject of the bow itself. Now, we know that there is the language of the bow in Revelation 6:1 as well, right before this. So the bow is unleashed. And once the bow is unleashed, it means that the actions of the white horse now turn into the second horse, the red horse. Okay. Where the staged events that were planned and controlled by the controller of the horse on the left, is all the events will now play out. Okay. And of course, we've seen on the left the sword or the upside down cross on the chest over here. This is certainly a tie-in for a sword, a great sword, but it says that the rider, which the rider is the character on the right of the horse, is given a great sword. Well, the modern day equivalent of a great sword would be a weapon like this, like an AK style weapon, or any kind of firearm in general would be considered the modern day example of a great sword, at least symbolically. The ice symbolism itself, of course, we know ice starts to crack and break when it is thawing out. And this is kind of symbolic of like a breaking point, or the breaking of peace, or possible coming of a flood or upheaval or the release of chaos, you might say. Some of the colors involved here, such as the pink bow and the red heart on the forehead, suggest a previous innocence or an internal innocence that did not want to be in this position really. But then, of course, it was broken, symbolized by the Band-Aid, or untied or released by someone else out of their control, if that makes sense to you. And if we look once again kind of more at the background itself, it would appear that this is a setting that does not seem like a natural setting, of course. Like there is ash falling from the sky. Ash is the remnants or the remainder after judgment or after or during the fire, like the fire comes out of the pit and the smoke and the sun and sky being blacked out. As you can see, there is light shining. It seems to be coming from the left side, but it is still dark. And it would appear maybe that there's possibly ocean behind her. Let's take a look real quick at that scene once again. So it's moving similar to like the ocean, but I also could see how this could represent not just the oceans below, but the ocean above, but that's a little bit speculative. Yeah. So overall, ultimately, you'll be the judge as to whether you think that that matches up correctly with that scene. Now, we do know that iPetGoat is laden extremely heavily with biblical depictions, such as the woman clothed in the sun with the moon under her feet, and the dragon coming, and the dragon spewing, and the earth opening its mouth, and blah, 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 right? So let's read it one more time. And there went out another horse, something of great power, that was set on its way. He was released. That was red, red being the color of blood, war, danger, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. In my opinion, that is a direct depiction based on all the symbolism that I've shown you there, all the symbolism that is exactly intended by the creators of this, knowing all of the other depictions that are shown in here that I've talked about numerous times over the years. But there have been scenes that I couldn't fully see, but I woke up last night in the middle of the night and realized the bow. And I thought, well, how is this the red horse? Because it's the bow. It's because the bow was what is the bow being there held things back. But when the bow was used or removed, it released the red horse. And again, we're talking about many, many things, many ways, but certainly Starlink or Angel Link or Angel Matrix, Star Matrix, the simplest of fabric, which is what bow means in Greek. If we look here, which I believe we can, if we look here and go back up, we can see that the white horse right here, and he had a bow. And the bow, as you can see right there, from the base of G5088, a bow, apparently as the simplest fabric Okay. And yes, I know it's Saturday, but I do this 7 days a week. If you appreciate my work, and I know I've said it before, and I know many of you have, but I need some assistance. I need a little help from my brothers and sisters. I have a little money coming tomorrow, but I'm in a place where I need a few dollars today. I need at least like $25 today. Okay. And I don't have it. And then, this is going to continue, unfortunately, at least for a while. And so there's nothing I can do about it. I'm doing my job, and that is bringing y'all guys the truth, the decoding of the scripture, and knowing that I'm doing what's right and doing what y'all guys need, because, well, this is important that these things be revealed, so that way y'all guys know, and that you do not suffer nearly as much or any from the things that are going to come upon this earth. All my links are below. I thank you for your continued support. Have a great day, guys. I love you.